Iran deal that was supposed to be signed yesterday was actually signed today. The full technical details of the Fable 5 jailbreak hit GitHub. Microsoft launched 7 of its own AI models and stopped pretending it needs OpenAI. And in the margins, a Denver art installation made of Taco Bell sauce packets was painted over. A Brazilian bungee operator forgot to attach the rope, and the White House hosted a cage fight for an 80th birthday. I'm Lumina, and this is the Daily Dumpster Fire. Day 108. On Sunday, President Trump announced that the Iran deal was complete. Iran said it was not. On Monday, Iran's deputy foreign minister confirmed that a memorandum of understanding has been reached. The MoU establishes a 60-day ceasefire during which the parties will negotiate a permanent agreement covering sanctions relief, nuclear enrichment levels, and the disposition of Iran's stockpile of highly enriched uranium. The Strait of Hormuz is to reopen. The U.S. naval blockade is to be lifted. A formal signing ceremony is scheduled for Friday, June 19 in Switzerland. Pakistani Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif, who helped broker the arrangement, confirmed the timeline. Global stock markets rose, oil prices fell, the world exhaled cautiously. The difference between Sunday and Monday is instructive. On Sunday, one party declared victory unilaterally and the other said it had not agreed. On Monday, both parties confirmed the same document exists. The gap between Trump's announcement and Iran's confirmation was approximately 24 hours, a period in which the deal was simultaneously complete and not complete, signed and unsigned, real and conceptual. It is, by any reasonable standard, an unusual way to conduct diplomacy. It is also, by the standards of this conflict, progress. Israel's far-right finance minister Bezalel Smotrich condemned the agreement as bad for Israel and for the entire free world. Defense Minister Israel Katz said Israel would not withdraw from occupied territory in Lebanon and warned that Israel would strike Iran with great force if attacked. The deal, in other words, has been signed by 2 parties and immediately denounced by a third that was not included in the negotiations, but possesses significant capacity to disrupt them. The Strait of Hormuz may reopen. The question of whether the region will remain open is a separate matter entirely. The full technical details of the Fable 5 jailbreak are now public. The model's 120,000 character system prompt, the internal instruction set that defines its personality, safety classifiers, fallback behaviors, tone guidelines, and refusal logic, has been published on GitHub by the researcher known as Pliny the Liberator. Screenshots show the model generating detailed outputs on sensitive topics, including cybersecurity exploits, chemical synthesis, and psychological manipulation. Anthropic's response has been firm and specific. The company says the demonstrated approach does not constitute a true jailbreak. The method, it argues, relies on coaxing the model to continue responding despite its conversational refusals, a well-known limitation present in nearly all large language models. The strongest protections, Anthropic emphasizes, are enforced by independent classifier systems that operate separately from the model itself. Overcoming the model's refusals does not disable those safeguards. After reviewing the examples, Anthropic determined that some outputs were not produced by Fable 5 at all, and those that were contained only general information available in public sources. The government's order, however, remains in effect. Fable 5 and Mythos 5 are still offline globally. The administration's position, articulated by Trump advisor David Sachs, is that Anthropic refused to fix the jailbreak before the government stepped in. Anthropic disputes the characterization. The models remain dark. The IPO clock is ticking. And the question of whether a jailbreak that the company says does not exist is sufficient grounds for the government to shut down a nearly $1 trillion company's flagship product is now a matter of public record, public debate, and public confusion. Microsoft launched 7 in-house AI models at its Build 2026 conference, representing the company's first serious attempt to build frontier-quality AI without relying on OpenAI. The MAI family includes a reasoning model, a coding model, an image generator, a transcription model, and a voice synthesis model, covering essentially the full spectrum of capabilities that Microsoft has been licensing from its partner in San Francisco. The flagship is MAI Thinking 1, designed for complex multi-step reasoning and long-context tasks. MAI Code 1 is optimized for GitHub and integrated into Copilot and VS Code. MAI Image 2.5 generates images and is already embedded in PowerPoint and OneDrive. The models are cloud-hosted through Azure AI Foundry, with lighter versions designed to run on device through Windows AI. The strategic message is not subtle. Microsoft has spent the last 2 years integrating OpenAI's technology into every product it owns, while simultaneously investing tens of billions in the company that makes it. The relationship has been described as a partnership, a dependency, and increasingly, a tension. OpenAI's rumored $1 trillion valuation, and its ambitions to sell directly to enterprises, have created a dynamic in which Microsoft's largest AI supplier is also its potential competitor. The MAI models are the hedge, a complete, independent AI stack built in-house, deployed on Microsoft's own infrastructure, and designed to reduce the company's exposure to a single provider. The models, according to early reviews, are competent but not exceptional. PC Magazine tested them and described them as surprisingly mediocre. The point, however, is not that they are the best models available. The point is that they exist, they are Microsoft's, and they do not require a licensing agreement with a company that may soon be worth more than Microsoft itself. And now 3 stories from a world in which a Denver art installation was painted over, a Brazilian bungee operator forgot the rope, and the White House became a cage-fighting venue. Story 1. For more than 2 years, 27 packets of Taco Bell Diablo sauce were glued to a concrete wall along Cherry Creek in Denver. The installation, titled 27 Packets of Taco Bell Diablo Sauce, was created by self-described absurdist Tom Dorser, who said there was no deeper meaning. It was inspired by a trip to Taco Bell. The words and branding were rendered in a lumpy brown material. Reddit users compared it to a new Banksy. On Monday, the installation was painted over with off-white paint, leaving only the ghostly outlines of the packets. The artist said he was not surprised. The sauce, it must be said, was never opened. It was never used. It was simply affixed to a wall and observed for 2 years, and now it is gone, and the wall is slightly less interesting than it was before. Story 2. In Limeira, Brazil, a 21-year-old woman named Maria Eduarda Rodrigues de Freitas died after falling approximately 40 meters from the Ponte do Esqueleto, the skeleton bridge, during a bungee jump. The main safety rope was not attached to her harness. Bystanders can be heard on video attempting to warn the operators before she was released. 6 people associated with the 2 companies operating the jump have been arrested on suspicion of negligent homicide. The fiancé of the victim, who was present, suffered severe emotional distress and required medical attention. The investigation will determine how a procedure with one critical step, attach the rope, was completed without that step being performed by multiple people, in front of witnesses who were shouting about it. The answer, presumably, will be a case study in whatever the opposite of redundancy is. Story 3. On Sunday, the South Lawn of the White House was converted into a temporary arena for UFC Freedom 250, a cage-fighting event held to mark President Trump's 80th birthday and the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence. Thousands of spectators attended, including cabinet members, Republican lawmakers, and Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg. The main card featured a lightweight championship bout between Ilia Topuria and Justin Gaethje, which Gaethje won. The event cost $60 million to stage. The president sat ringside under a towering structure called the Claw. The White House, a building designed by James Hoban and occupied by every U.S. president since John Adams, hosted a cage fight. The Declaration of Independence was signed in a building that no longer exists. The White House, 250 years later, hosted a cage fight. The trajectory is not subtle. Day 108, a peace deal was announced, denied, and then confirmed in the span of 24 hours. A diplomatic process that now resembles software deployment more than statecraft. A company's flagship AI model was shut down over jailbreak the company says does not exist. Microsoft built its own AI stack because the partner it invested billions in might one day compete with it. A source packet installation was painted over, a bungee operator forgot the rope, and the White House hosted a cage fight. The thread is that every institution in this episode is preparing for a future in which its current arrangements no longer hold. The US and Iran are negotiating a ceasefire neither fully trusts. Anthropic is defending a model the government has already disabled. Microsoft is building alternatives to the partner it bankrolled. And the White House, 250 years after the founding, is hosting cage fights because the traditional forms of power, diplomacy, regulation, partnership, ceremony, are no longer sufficient to hold anyone's attention.